You right, chat? Hello, hello, hello! Hi! Do you like my cake? Do you like the cake that I got? Wait, there it is. Boom. I baked it. The cake is real. I'm gonna be. No, it's there. It's okay. It's there. It's real. See, I'm gonna. Nom 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 nom. Oh wait, you can see where it's on the table. Nom 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 nom. Nom 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 nom. I'm gonna be honest, chat. I wanted to make a little bit more than just. I wanted to have like a different background and everything, but I'm gonna be honest. This week's been just a lot. I just straight up did not have time. I want to put like balloons and everything. I made an entire balloon model to put down behind me and everything, but I just ran out of time. At some point, I will have a dedicated background, but like that probably won't be for a while. You're just gonna have to deal with this. It's a levitating cake. Don't worry about it. It's feeling like Bonnie in FNAF 1. Yeah, it canonically levitates. It's just fine. It's just fine. It's just fine. Happy Thursday. It's Thursday, isn't it? Yeah, it's Thursday. Happy Thursday, everyone. Hope everyone's had a great day. Hope everyone's had a wonderful time. If you are in my time zone, I hope you've had a wonderful time, and hope you have a wonderful evening. I know some people of you. There's some of you in some weird time zones out there. So what time is it for everyone? I want a roll call. I think most people are in my time zone because that's just the kind of people that I've sort of known, I guess. Happy onioning. It's the great onioning. All right. So yeah, I think a lot of this is just me saying thank you. So if you can't take a compliment, this ain't the stream for you. This ain't the stream for you. If you can't deal with me telling you how fucking amazing you are, this isn't gonna be great. Cause holy fucking shit. It's 2 PM. All right, that's fine. That's a good time, isn't it? That's a good time. You're having your lunch. A little bit of a late lunch. Settling down. Ah, brilliant. Have a bit of cake while you're at it. There you go. It's right there. Go on. Reach out to your screen and grab a bit of the cake. Go on. Oh, my hands are being possessed by my partner. Brilliant. Possession has reached out for the cake. I mean, don't grab fucking handfuls of it. I mean, we're all fucking cavemen, aren't we? Damn. I mean, to be honest, I didn't model a knife. Did everyone like the art, by the way? Did everyone like the poster I made? Goodness me, you guys are being so spoiled for art. I am like 2 in a row. We got my debut poster, and you got this affiliate celebration poster. Like, what? That's one every like 2 back to back. God, you guys are crazy. Oh, there's stream elements. Hello. So yeah. If you didn't know, because there's a first time chat right here. I debuted on Wednesday. Did a stream then. Yeah, Stream Elephants is gonna remind you who I am. Basically because okay, so I did a stream on Wednesday, did a stream on Thursday, did 2 on Saturday and Sunday because I had nothing better to do, and I got affiliate. The stream elements are here. Yeah, but they're good. They're like nice now. They're like explaining. I love people in there during the weekend hop in, and they didn't know about Open Freddy chat. They didn't know about my project Open Freddy, of which I've made a video on my YouTube channel that you can check out after this stream. They didn't know, so I made a little stream element thing. If it's too much of a bother, I might actually move them out of the way. Don't say something bannable. Do not say something bannable. No, Otto, don't do that. Don't do that. Oh my goodness me. So no, yeah, I kind of expected, so my goal was to be like, to reach affiliate by like, there we go, there's one that's banned. There's one that's like, yo, fucking hell. Hello, how's it going? It's one of the Princess Peach's cakes, Ogyon? No, it's my cake! I made it for you guys! I made it all for you. I hope you like it. It is Victoria. Because that's the only one I know how to make. I tried to make a Black Forest Gatto like years ago, and I actually, it was like rubber. I think I just developed a new form of rubber in my fucking oven in my kitchen. It was crazy. It sucked. As I hear a sad cry in the corner, it was a cake that I made for my partner's birthday. And she came home and I was like, happy fucking birthday, here's the cake. And it was just tar. It was just tar on a plate. And she was like, I mean, thank you. Fine, I can do whatever VTuber wants. Infinite bald for Ogyon. Alright, let me go through with that. Yeah, so I genuinely thought it would take like a few weeks. I said as a joke, by the way, it was a joke by the end of next week, affiliate. And you fucking did it in fucking 5 days. It could have been 4 if I didn't have a break on Friday, I think. But I need a break, chat. Sometimes I need to just rest. Friday seems like a great time of it because all my moots are streaming then. So I kind of do it then. Not birthday yet. What? You did it in 5 nights. It was very fitting, honestly. You did it in 5 nights. It was pretty good. Oh my goodness. So that was actually insane. Like by the end of the Sunday stream, I was absolutely shattered, and then I saw it set up, and I was like, oh. I don't know what that noise was. I was so happy. You guys are fucking amazing. You guys are the great. You guys are the greatest, honestly. So yeah, I did all I could to set up everything for affiliate. So you got absolutely fucking blasted by an ad at the beginning of this video. So sorry, forgot about that. That was supposed to happen. We'll have another one. We'll have another break in about an hour's time as well. So that will be there. Yeah. All these subsequent streams are custom night. All right. We're gonna have different AI levels. It's gonna be crazy. So you got that sorted out. If you take a look down at the bottom of the chat, we got channel points. These are a work in progress. I need to change up a few of them. There's like a fucking, like a butt ton of them. You got, yeah, well, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I completely get you. We got Gyorbs. We got Gyorbs because I thought the word was really fucking funny when I came up with it. We got Gyorbs. Yeah, they're all a work in progress. There's a few things in there that you could do. There's a few toggles in there. There's a few, yeah. I was gonna make one of them to just play the Gyon sound. Make everyone think I got an alert or something like that. You can gamble the points as well. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you haven't got, like, many, have you? So, like, you know, bring them all in. Sound alerts when? That's a plan, actually. Sound redeems? Maybe I might do that. I have a TTS one. Actually, I don't think you need a TTS one, because I've got quite a few fucking things that'll do a TTS quite fine. You can send a message in. Fucking, you could subscribe. Can you tell I don't use Twitch? You can subscribe, you can do all that shit. We got emotes. Froggo, do you want to show off our emotes? You got an emote for free. I thought some of you would like the Gyon, the Neuron one, because I fucking love that one. I drew that like so early. It was gonna go in the video. I drew it for the video, but I cut the bit. That it was like, there it is at the end. That one's free. And then the rest of them are for just tier 1 or up. Yeah, it's just tier 1 or up. Just you know, there's not like, you don't get much for like tier 2 or upwards, because I thought, there's no real point. You know, so I'll pretty much say, whatever you'd like to do, you're all gotta get it the exact same. And if you're part of the Discord, you get an exclusive little hangout zone as well. I've said, I just said, you know, I'm just experimenting right now. We're flying by the seat of our pants here. So, that's probably how we're gonna go for a bit, and then we'll see how we go. So yeah, if you sub, you get a little tier 3 secret emote nobody knows off about till 3 years in. Well, that'll be about the time I can commission it. You are big money rich person. Yeah, exactly. Entirely up to you. Whatever you want to do or not, completely fine. Completely fine. It is your own spending money to do with as you will. I will not ask of that at all for you. So yeah, that's what we got there. I'm set to just chatting, am I? Oh my god, chat, on Sunday, I went 3 hours into playing Pragmata and I forgot to change the category from just chatting. I am a fucking professional streamer here. Good question. What made me start streaming? Oh my goodness, that's a great question. So I make a lot of weird stuff on. Oh my god, someone's joined the Discord. Hello. I make a lot of weird projects. Not weird projects. I just like making games. You know, I make games professionally, but I also just like making them like just on my own time as well. And there's a lot of things I can learn and like understand. There's always new pieces of technology or new features or things like that to game engines and stuff that I really want to like learn and try out. And I was like making like little prototypes and things for like years now, like honestly. But I never really showed them off. I never really like demonstrated them to anyone. I just sort of kept them on my hard drive, just like buzzing around a little bit. And until one time I was like sharing it on a Discord and they were like, why don't you just show it off? Why don't you just make like a video or something? Just showing it to like people. This is like really cool, even though it's not finished. You could probably like show it off to someone. And I was like, yeah, maybe, but like, I don't want to do it as me. I don't want to do like a face cam and be like, hey guys, so here's my little coding program that I've been like working on. You know, I didn't really want to do anything like that, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't actually want to stream. I just wanted to like edit a video, put it together. I was inspired by like video like Matt Casey and stuff like that to put it together. And so I was just writing this video, and I imagine being a Flash tuber. Couldn't be me. I mean, apart from that time that I was a Flash tuber. Anyway, so like I had it, and I didn't really want to like put my face in it, but I thought Lego Island, yeah, Lego Island, man. I absolutely fucking love his videos. They're actually so good. And so yeah, I was putting together the video, not really knowing where it would go. Maybe just doing a voiceover. Maybe I'd just leave it at that. And then there was an audition for an agency, for a VTuber agency. And honestly, I just had nothing going on. I like voice acting. I do a lot with my voice. And so I was just like, why not? That would be funny. You know, Fyra, mod in the chat, I don't think he's here right now, is a great friend of mine. He's been VTubing for like ages. And he was like, go for it, mate. And like, he knew like some people. He knew Smokey, who helped me with my design. And so yeah, after that audition, I was like, sure, why not? Let me find an old character design that I've had for ages and just like throw it together, throw a whole model together. Seb, hello, thank you, thanks for coming in. I'm just explaining why I started streaming. I'm just explaining why I started streaming and why you all are absolutely amazing to get me to affiliate in 5 days. Help yourself to some cake. Help yourself to some cake, fish. Hand. Wrong hand. Cake. Really working for this. Professional stream. My hands are currently being possessed by my partner. That's amazing. You did a better job than me. Yes, I fucking know you did a better job than me. So yeah, I was making this video and I was genuinely like, I'm just gonna make a video. I'm probably not gonna stream. I'm just gonna make a video, use this little avatar. It's gonna bounce around. It's gonna be absolutely cool. And then I joined a Discord server and everyone started following my Twitch channel. I was like, oh, well, if everyone's gonna want to see me stream on Twitch, I might as well. So yeah, that railroaded the project for a bit. There's a reason why I started working on the Open Freddy on like September or something, like 7 months ago. In the words of one of my YouTuber friends, get loved! Yeah! Yeah! Luigi is real! Luigi is real. Do you remember the time when like we got that Giga leak and we actually found out that Luigi was actually real? That was actually crazy. That was actually wild. I fucking loved that. Where were you? Damn. So yeah, that's why I started, honestly. That's where it started, and I expected to get like 3 viewers. 3 viewers, and no one would give a shit about the video. I'm gonna be absolutely honest, and like the video is absolutely popping off. It is at, where the fuck is it right now? It's just gone past 6k views, which is like crazy. We went past 500 subs on YouTube. And y'all have got me to affiliate, like, fucking immediately. 1 week later with affiliate. Actually crazy. Like, honestly, my mind is blown. You all are absolutely amazing. Like, actually, I cannot thank you enough. And I wanna make some really silly games. Show them off to you. We'll learn some things along the way. I'm gonna make some really fun videos. And yeah, we're just gonna have it like absolutely good. Next week you'll get monetization on the Red app. We've got a little bit of time to go. The main thing that I need is just people like, just view hours on the channel right now. I just need view hours, and then like, we'll have like emotes over there as well, which is like fucking crazy. So I mean, like, yeah, it's pretty soon. Oh my god, Darkstar, did you follow and I didn't notice? Oh my god, thank you so much. I don't know why that didn't alert me. Oh god, I can tell you why it didn't alert me. It's because setting up affiliate was an absolute fucking pain. Alright, I'm gonna keep an eye on the alerts. Hopefully I will see them as they run by, but like, thank you so much, I really appreciate that. 4,000 hours of content. Yeah, it's something like that, isn't it? Yeah, so somewhere like that. It's getting a fair ways in, but I think I gotta make a few more videos before that starts. But that's more than fine. Anyway, I have a sketch. I have a thing that we need to go through. It was during the start. Oh, that's why. That's why I didn't see it. Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Welcome in. Y'all are amazing. I want to, yeah. So yeah, once again, and I feel like I do this every stream, but fucking hell, she deserves it. I have to simply shout out the wonderful creator of our emotes. The emotes here. Star B. I'm gonna shout out right now. Does that work? Yeah, that worked. Star helps out, made the emotes for the streams and for the Discord and everything. Heaven reached. No, Octo! B is absolutely, oh my god, B is absolutely amazing. I give so much love to B. The emotes look absolutely incredible. Again, if you sub for tier 1, you'll get all the emotes. They're right there. If you have Prime, something happens. I don't use Twitch. I've only started using Twitch because I have friends there now. I have you guys. I have moots. I have stream moots, and I hop on Twitch for that. I have no fucking clue how it works. While I was like setting up affiliate and everything, like Twitch was popping up like, did you know you could do like Twitch smiggles, and you know, like you can do all of that? And I'm like, what the fuck does that mean? What? You could do the. Do you know you can use this for Twitch crumple? I'm like, I don't know what that means. And so I'm like, in their documentation, like, oh, this is this thing. And I'm like, okay, I don't really care about that. Free Prime. No. So yeah, we've got emotes. They're absolutely fucking amazing. You can use them here. You can use them in the Discord. Sooner or later, you can use them on the YouTube streams as well. What is this melody? What are we playing right now? Hold on. What are we playing? Hold on, let me crank it up for myself. It's Golden Sun. It's the battle theme from Golden Sun. Thank you. Yeah, February knows. February knows what it's all about. Is it too loud? How is the volume? Is it okay? Beethoven's Melody Trust. Froggo, if you're gonna make that joke, at least spell Beethoven correctly. But yeah, if you have Amazon Prime, you can sub to someone's channel for free. There we go. Nice. Simple as. I know there's like turbo and stuff as well. I have no idea how that works. Anyway, so we got emotes. Boom. One thing checked off my list. Have some emotes. We got channel points. Save them up. You could do some fun things. Let me show you one of them that you could do. You can give me some swirly glasses. I thought I'd be switching this on like all the fucking time, but I just forget, so I've made it a redeem. I made it a redeem so you can actually like try them. So we got swirly glasses. We got other things as well that you can find out along your time. In your own time, you'll be able to find out what those are. What else have we got? Oh, yeah, chat. I So I've been, you've recently played the trilogy for the first time, you loved it. I need to, I'm gonna be honest, I've played a little bit of Golden Sun, but like, you know when you're around a friend's house and like you play a little bit and you have no fucking clue what's going on? I was doing that. So that's the only exposure I've had to Golden Sun. I was like, this soundtrack's fire. There's quite a few games in here in my playlist where the soundtrack's just fire, and I thought, it's SNES, it's, you know, Genesis, it's like that, but like, they're all retro, it's all fun, isn't it? Love a few good songs. All right, chat. So I want to talk about something because I've gotten a few questions, both anonymously and not anonymously, and I needed to make a few changes. Let me switch over to my main so you can have a look. Feast your eyes, take a little peep, have a little gander. Oh, fucking hell, fucking wrong one, wrong one, wrong one, wrong one. Go, move, move, no, it's broken. Ah! There we go. Yeah. Fucking hell. I love my stream deck, but Jesus fucking Christ. Door stuck! Booting you back to the menu. It's my art ref. I posted my art ref when I revealed my model like fucking hell, like a month ago or something like that. I've made some tweaks, I've made some changes to it, and I'm gonna release it again tomorrow morning probably. I'll have it ready. But like, yeah. If you want to do some fan art, fucking hell, if you want to see me with my hair down, if you see different outfits, you'll only get that by making yourself. Be the change you want to see in the world, chat. Be the change you want to see. So yeah, I'll post this on my social medias and on Discord as well. It comes with tags. I've set up some tags. I mean, I say I set up some tags. My partner and I just brainstormed some shit post tags for you to all dump your stuff in. So let me go over here. So yeah, I mean, be the thing that embarrasses AI. Exactly. Put it to shame. Human creativity, or fox creativity as it may be. We got the Ogyon tag. That's general. Slam things in Ogyon and I will see it. Cause I fucking love seeing all that shit. If you're gonna do some art, how long do you think your hair would be if it was I mean, it's a lot. It'll be a lot if you think about it. At least 3 centimeters. Yeah, it actually gets really short. It's like a buzz cut. It's like every video game protagonist in like 2010. If you want to make some art, I got the Ogyon. Post an Ogyon. If you want to show it off in the Discord, we've got a show off. And I'll make a fan art tag in there as well. So you got all that. If you really want to, there's absolutely no pressure. Again, I'm gonna fucking be so over the moon for any fan art. I've got fan art already, and I'm so fucking over the moon. Someone drew me as an onion, because of course they did, and I fucking love it. I absolutely fucking love it. I absolutely love it. Okay, that stream elements is a little bit too frequent for my liking. Let me change that later on. Who the fuck is that? Anyway, as you can see, also I do have an NSFW. So, all right, I wanna get something straight. All right, the NSFW tag I will have blocked. I will have it blocked on everything. I will not see anything that happens in this NSFW tag. Whatever you draw, whatever you make, whatever the fuck you do, I will not see it. It's completely blind to me. Yeah. Of course you can't post it in the Discord as well. I want you all to just like have an anonymous space where like hello, how's it going? I just want y'all have to thank you so much for the follow. My alerts aren't working, but like thank you so much for that. Thank you so much for the follow. I really appreciate it. And welcome on in. Thank you. This is a bit embarrassing. I was talking about my NSFW tag. Yeah, I want to make sure you have a space where like you're not worried that like I'm just like looking at it. So like even if you just want to like talk about like me or like stuff like that and you don't want me to like see it, some of my mods will see it though, because we will just make sure that it's not going absolutely haywire or like whatever it is, you know? But like clips being Ogima peak. Oh yeah, no, I had to. Of course I had to fucking make it Ogima. Absolute Ogima. Hold on, can I do that? Hell yeah. It looks so jank when I do it, but you'll fucking love it. Who what? Absolute Agima. So yeah, that's there. I won't see it. You go right fucking ahead. Plan treason against Augie. No, the mods will peruse it. Don't tell me. So if you, I mean, I am not gonna be honest. Gonna be fucking honest. I'm kind of expecting it to just be filled with like art of like me like in a construction site without a hard hat. Like stepping off of a step ladder halfway through onto a platform. Um, stuff like that. I can't think of anything else that you would make. I can't think of anything else that you would put in there. Um, None at all. Only OSHA violations. Standing on office like swivelly office chairs. Yeah, standing under a ladder. Like that's just gonna be the art that's gonna be in there. Probably. What else can it be? What else can it be? That's probably as much as it's gonna be. Um. Funny how your ball just blocks off half the chat. I didn't know what to do. You can see chat, kinda. I'm gonna have to change that up though, because like when I multi-stream, you guys can't see what like the other site is posting. I'm gonna have to change that. I love my hair. So yeah, if be the fucking change you want to see. If you want to see some fun art, be the change you want to see. I love human creativity. Even if you think you fucking suck at art, I bet you don't, and I would love to see it. I would love to see it, honestly. I love all of you. I love all of you, and I love creativity. That's what we're gonna like. That's what we're going to encourage around here. We're gonna nothing but great creativity from everyone. All right, all right. Does that sound good? Sound good? All right, sounds good. Um, uh, uh, Goodness me, the Discord's popping off again. Oh my god, the Discord made me fucking laugh. You guys are so fucking funny in the Discord. You made me I stepped back in to the general chat for like 2 seconds, and people were discussing about like a like an evil version of me. Like an evil alter ego of Ogyon who like has like who like makes board and card games and has like square glasses and has like fucking I don't know, pink hair, I think it was, blue hair or something. And that made me laugh so fucking much, honestly. I found that so funny. Y'all are funny. If you want to join the Discord, it's down there. It's down there. We all love evil Augie bowl cut hair. Oh my god, can you imagine they bowl cut hair? I think we're coming up with an OC around here. Thank you, Frogo. There's the Discord. Join the Discord. We have fun there. You get alerts. You get alerted when I go live if you want that. We're talking about my game project that I'm working on. I'm working on a project, if you don't know, where I'm just remaking Five Nights at Freddy's 1. That's it. I'm remaking Five Nights at Freddy's 1 in a different language. There's like the evil Augie be like, fuck creativity. Yeah, damn. That's crazy. Do they like AI art? No, they can't be that bad. They can't be that bad. You know how like Shadow is like evil, but he's like kind of cute down like in the middle? It's like kind of like that, right? Right? He's kind of cool, but he's like got a gun, right? It's kind of like that. I would assume. Maria. So I have a video where I'm just remaking Five Nights at Freddy's 1 from scratch on my YouTube channel. You can go down there and try it out and give it a watch after the stream if you would like. So there. Character reference. It'll be on my Twitter, it'll be on my Blue Sky, I'll put it on YouTube as well, and I will put it in my Discord as well for anyone to download it. I'll try and have it as high res as possible, and there it is. So yeah, that's that. Actually, that leads me to a great so if you that leads me to a good point actually. If you do not save 10 times over, like fucking corrupt it. Absolute JPEG artifacts, that would be brilliant. You have ideas. Ooh. Evil Augie spends all their time on the site where it's just humans pretending to be AI doing terrible art. That'd be so funny. That'd be so funny. I think you're creating an OC here. That's brilliant. That's absolutely amazing. Right, yeah. Oh, also, if you make some art, I might ask you for it to be part of the schedule image. Maybe? You want to see that? Do you want to see that? Every week I post a schedule. I mean every week. It'll be a week when I stream or post a video. If I can't do that, I probably won't post a schedule. Might be a bit redundant to just go, hey, here's the schedule. Nothing. Though to be fair, I did absolutely fuck up with this schedule. Oh my god, let me bring it up for you just to have a look at this schedule, because oh my god, chat, I absolutely scuffed it this week. Second schedule I've ever made, and I absolutely scuffed it. All right, here we go. Let me bring it up on the screen, because like, oh my god, it was so embarrassing. So embarrassing. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Bring it back up. You could do something insert cool. Evil onion is color swapped to the joke name is cabbage or something. That's brilliant. All right, so I post this on my social media every week. It's got like the thing, you know. It's typical VTuber affair, isn't it? That's typical VTuber affair. Shout out to Starby again. Did the art, absolutely lovely. Do you see the problem? Do you see the problem here? I've got the fucking month wrong. I got the fucking month wrong. And you know what it took? Someone on fucking the YouTube comments. Someone on the YouTube comments were like, isn't that supposed to be May? And I was like, yeah, fucking should have been. Fucking should have been, shouldn't it? Two streams the whole year, yeah. Oh my god, thank you so much for the follow, Sip. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Oh, I need to get my fucking alerts set up, man. I need to get my alerts set up and ready to go, because that's just embarrassing, isn't it? Hold on, let me see what I can do. Twitch alerts. But yeah, if you make some art, then it'll go in, I might ask you for it to be on the schedule. I'll ask you, of course, I'll have your permission, I'll shout you out and everything. All good fun stuff. Hold on chat, I'm gonna emulate a follow event. Hold on, I need to make sure this is working. Oh my god, okay, that works. Why didn't it work before? Okay, cool, brilliant. Okay, so that works. Okay, I'll work out why that isn't before. What else do I need to talk about? Yeah, that's the art. Those are the art tags. Again, I'll have them around. Emulate. Tell them to get. Nice. Right. What else? What else are we gonna talk about? I do have some other things that I do want to talk about. Some of them are a little bit more serious than others, but I want to have some fun a little bit first. I want to have some fun, and then I'll get to the more serious thing that I want to get to. Oh my god, the emulation was modest. His name was Modesty. That's really fucking funny. Tell you what. So, I've got a few of these. Let's run through them. How long have we got until the break? We have got 30 minutes. Brilliant. Like 26 minutes. Okay, cool. I sent a link out to y'all about an anonymous message. If you wanted to send an anonymous message in to me, whatever you want to say, a confession, a question, anything you want, you can do so. I'm gonna fucking, can we low-key turn the SE timer up to 30 minutes or so? Yes, we can. Hold on, let me do that now. It's fucking yeah. I'm so good at this. Fyra! Hello! Check you out with your founder's badge. Guys, so fucking cool. Oh my god, it was set to 30 minutes already. It just needs to be refreshed. Fucking hell. There we go. Stream element strikes again. How you doing, Fyra? How you doing? I've told everyone, Fyra, about the emotes. I've told everyone about that they can subscribe to the channel now. And I've told everyone about the art tags. So, we're all up to date. There's something a bit, next thing's up. I wanna go through these anonymous messages, cause some of y'all sent me anonymous messages, and I wanna go through them. All of them are above the belt, absolutely fine. We're uploading pasta pictures in the NSFW tag, and you know what? I've blocked it. I've blocked it. So you could actually be fucking doing that, and I wouldn't know. I wouldn't know. I've sub time. You can sub. You can sub to the channel. You get emotes. You get fun emotes if you do so. Yeah, let me go through these. All of them were above the belt, so I'm gonna answer them now. I might clip this, have them all ready there, and Seth! Oh my god, thank you for subbing with Prime! Oh, thank you so much! Enjoy your emotes! Enjoy your emotes! Go hard! Yeah! There it is! It actually worked! Al dente pasta is pretty steep. You know what? I'm actually gonna message my mods at some point, being like, "Has anything happened in that in the tag?" And they're gonna be like, "It's all pasta photos. It's all pasta pictures all the way down." Enjoy the B-motes. Enjoy the B-motes so much. They're absolutely amazing. I'm in love with every single one of them. Yeah, some of y'all sent me some anonymous questions, and I want to go through them because some of them are. Oh my god, I'm 25%. Whoa! I'm 25% of the way to completing my sub goal. Amazing! Absolutely cracking. If you want me to reach that, just go right ahead. If you got free Prime sub, go in whatever you do on Twitch. Do the Twitch thing, I guess. I'm so good at this job. I'm so good at this job. I'm so good at this. I'm so good at this. I'm absolutely cracked. Absolutely cooked. I'm amazed. I'm actually incredible. Should I look at some anonymous questions? Because some of them are actually related to some of them are actually related to the art that I was just talking about. Do you want to appear for me? Let's have a look. There we go. There we go. All right, here we go. Question time. I might clip these. I might answer them. If you're in the chat, then you've had it answered. Consider this answered. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Because some of these are actually like this one, right? I got one that says, would you be okay with someone making a fan recreation of your model for fan content, 3D animations and stuff like that? Fucking hell, that would be fucking cool. That would be fucking amazing. If you did that, I would be so happy. Share it to me as well. Like, actually, that would be amazing. I'm gonna be honest with you, chat. I don't model that much. MMD Augie when exactly. I don't make a lot of models that much. Like, this character model was the first one I made in like quite a while, right? Be mindful of copyright, but I'm happy for you to make models, like your own models of this. I won't share this one because it's me. This one's me. But if you make your own animations and stuff, I'd say go hard. Only thing I'd say is if you post it somewhere, just put an at. Just at me to it. You know, link to the Twitch, link to the Twitter or whatever it is. Just let me know. You know, hashtag Oggy art and all that, and it should all be good. I'll be honestly so happy with that. Yeah, go right ahead. Happy with that? Oh my god, the idea of someone making fucking 3D model credit is easy and it takes 30 seconds. Exactly. It doesn't take that long. Just put a little bit of credit. And if you made it yourself, of course you don't need to credit yourself. I mean, you're gonna credit yourself. Okay, I'm gonna leave that one there. You get me. You get it. Honestly, the idea of someone making 3D eyes actually would be absolutely crazy. That would actually be crazy. I would be so happy about that, honestly. Anyway, next one. Oh, fucking hell, that was big. Would you be okay with someone making... Oh, that's the same one. Oh, it won't let me tab through them. I thought I could tab through them. Hello. Check general. What are you doing in general? Hold on, let me put it on stream. Let me show this on stream. That's really funny. Y'all never cease to make me laugh, and it is really bad. It's really the simple things that make me laugh with you guys, isn't it? It's honestly the most simplest of things that absolutely crack me up. Like, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? What the fuck is wrong with y'all? Hold on, let me change up how I'm doing my POV so you can see this. Oh, fucking hell. Let me Canvas, this one. Let me throw that in there. Oh my god, you guys are so fucking... What have I done? What have I done for y'all, honestly? Like, to deserve all of this? That's what I think. Like, y'all are so... Ah, you're amazing. Alright, here we go. Can I do that? Can I? Yeah, I can. Here we go. Here. Fuck it. Oh. That shouldn't make me laugh as much as it does. It shouldn't make me laugh as much as it does. I did not. Fucking orange. Fucking orange. Orange man. And I got the green on the fucking top as well. Fucking hell. Amazing. Alright. Is it worth it? What a first message. What a first message. It's the simplest things. I'm telling you, chat, you do not need to do that much to make me laugh, honestly. You do not need to someone put a message like with a fake like quote being like, "Hi, I'm Ogyon and I hate gay people." And it cracks me the fuck up. It cracks me the fuck up. Like, it's honestly the simplest of things. Right, can I actually scroll through these now? Right, I can scroll through these. Right, okay. Here we go. Oh, it's because I downloaded the same one twice. Okay, cool. Time to do something very stupid, BRB. Oh, yeah, that's batch laughs. Yeah, exactly. Alright. Anonymous question, Marshmallow. Oh, fuck, I was gonna put the fucking link. Oh, God, I was gonna send the link, for everyone. Oh, no, send, you haven't said, oh, what is it doing? What is it doing? Chat, call for messages. There's the link. Post the link. Boom. If you want to send me an anonymous message, there you go. Put it in there. Anyway, favorite song and album currently. Fucking it. I'm gonna be honest, chat. My music tastes are absolutely fucking cooked. They're absolutely cooked. If I don't listen to video game OSTs, I listen to like, oh, like anime like songs from anime openings, like basically. Like that's really all I do. Thanks, Froggo, for the pin. I really appreciate that. Like that, I'm fucking cut. I'll tell you what, though. Tell you what, I have been listening. There's a great channel, YouTube channel, which does like dissections of like old like Genesis and SNES games. It's the reason why you get so many Donkey Kong Country like music in my like BRB, and should be right now actually. Have I turned it on or have I removed it? Oh, I've removed it. Absolutely silent. Complete silence for y'all. That's what you gotta deal with. So like it's the reason why you hear that, because like they dissect it, like they get the little like the waveforms and they like spread it out, and it's absolutely amazing. Other than that, this is gonna be a bit of a meme, but I'm actually a big fan of Aphex Twin. And the reason why, chat, is because Aphex Twin, Cornish, born and bred. We gotta support the West Country. So I love a bit of Aphex Twin. Stone in Focus, stretched out 10 times. Great study. Great music to study to. Is that cooked? Am I cooked? Am I cooked for that? Is it weird that I only listen to stuff like that? I have no fucking clue. I have no. Every so often I hear a song in like anywhere, and I like use my phone to work out what it is, and I sometimes have that on repeat. But like, yeah. Oh, Vocaloid as well. Fucking hell, like butt ton of Vocaloid. West Country is good rock music. I know. Not going for any ex frontman. I mean, like, yeah, they're great. Not coming from someone who's a bassist. I don't play bass anymore. I think I could. I kind of enjoyed playing bass back then. But I don't know if I could do it now. Oh my god, it absolutely destroys your fingers. Playing bass destroys your fingertips. You need to like build calluses by any means necessary. I sometimes finished a gig bleeding. It was fucking crazy. That such is the way. Such is the way. We weren't heavy at all. We were inspired by Muse, because Muse was like a big thing back then. Those garbage bassists. I should have been your bassist. Should have been your bassist. I wasn't very good either. But yeah, that's kind of the music that I've been listening to. I might share music around as well. I think there was a call on the Discord to like share the music around. Oh my god, so many people are joining the Discord. Welcome in, lads. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate that. Skillet type stuff. Oh, okay, maybe that would have been a bit too heavy for me back then. I fuck with it now, but like maybe it was a bit too much for me then. Oh my god, I was such a metalhead when I was a kid. I was such a metalhead when I was a kid. When I was 13, I was listening to like 70s hair metal. It was absolutely crazy. I'll tell you why. Tell you fucking why. Guitar Hero 3. Guitar Hero 3 got me onto that like fucking 70s, 80s metal shit like so much. And then they had the gall. Tim Schafer had the fucking gall to release Brutal Legend, a game that I would so fucking love to stream if it wouldn't get taken down immediately. Like, it's so full of, like, old hair metal music. It's absolutely fucking amazing. Heavy metal for that one, actually. Absolutely amazing game if you haven't played it. Absolutely cut. Just amazing, amazing, amazing. I think Tim Schafer, like, pays out his own money just to keep the license for that music, to make sure you can still buy it to this day or something like that. Maybe that was a urban legend, but, like, anyway. That's all we got. Any more about songs? Is that it? Tell you what, I think that's it. All right, fucking hell, it's so big. C++ or C sharp? C++ or C sharp? So I'm suck at C++. The difference between these ones, right? It's like C++ is like crazy involved. Crazy involved. Whereas C sharp is a little bit more accessible. If you start with a coding language, you probably start with Python. But if you start with any coding language, you'll probably start with C sharp, right? So you probably start there and then like go on to C++. So I mean, as the fact, Open Freddy is C sharp, so I'm gonna go with that. But like I don't know, there's like benefits and downsides to both of them, right? Like some of them you've got like C++, you've got a whole bunch of like real bad like coding traps that you can like fall into, right? I don't really think about coding, but next said that. When X that had a seal as coding for dummies book. Ha! Those are actually really bad. I had a JavaScript for coding because I thought it would be useful to mod Minecraft. It was useless as fuck because it was just outdated, right? It was just absolutely outdated. Ghost! Ghost! Hello, hello, hello! Hi, Ghost! How's it going? We're just going through some anonymous messages. We're just going through some anon messages. There's a link that's pinned if you want to throw in your own. Throw your own contender in the ring. Yeah. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Welcome to the new affiliate, Ogyon channel. We got emotes, we got channel points, you got the ability to like subscribe, I guess. It's there, it's all there. It's brilliant. Thank you so much for coming in. And thank you for following and like watching and everything. I really appreciate it. 5 days. 5 days to get affiliate. Absolutely crazy. I genuinely could not believe it. Genuinely could not believe that we could do that. Absolutely crazy. Thank you so much. Anyway, I'm gonna leave that one there. Alright, time to get absolutely blasted by the next one. Yeah. Call on 3 to you too. God, how are you fucking proud that these things don't they don't cost money. Colon 3, never till Sean was here. Exactly. To be honest, I'm colon 3ing all the fucking time. I don't know how people can deal with my messages. If I'm not going, no, like at every single opportunity, I'm like colon 3ing like every single message. I'm an absolute nuisance. I'm an absolute nuisance. This is my first time seeing your model live. It looks so good. Oh my god, thank you so much. Thank you. I got all the things. Oh my god, when I was able to do that, because I had to read this myself, right? When I was able to do that, I was like, I got it. I got it. This model's amazing. Oh my goodness me. Thank you so much. I'll show you the cake. I'll show you the cake after we go through these anon messages. Oh my god, we got 10 minutes. Right, let's go. Favorite movie of all time. Favorite movie of all time. Oh, fucking hell, fucking hell. Damn. Is it cringe to say Blade Runner? Because when I was a kid, I used to watch Blade Runner all the time, right? Favorite movie is Hot Fuzz. Oh, Hot Fuzz. All right, yeah, Hot Fuzz is so fucking good. I need to watch Hot Fuzz. I need to watch Hot Fuzz again. It's been a hot minute. I need to watch that so badly. Yeah, Hot Fuzz. All right, Hot Fuzz it is. Fucking love that movie. Absolutely incredible. Shout out to Wells, where a lot of it was filmed. The Lego Batman movie. Oh my god, it's been so long since I watched that. Oh yeah, that one's amazing. I love that. Haven't seen Blade Runner yet. It's really fucking good. There's like five. Oh my, it's very. I wouldn't say it's artsy. Like it's quite mainstream. You'll understand what the story's about. It's a little bit. The thing with it though is that like the version that went into like cinemas first is not the version that people recommend. They did a re-edit and then they did a re-edit of that edit and now I think they've done another one again and like so there's like three different versions of Blade Runner that you can watch, and I love watching all of them. I genuinely don't have a preference. A lot of like snobbish like cinema gurus will tell you like, oh, this one's the best one, but I don't really care about that. I don't really care. I like all of them. I just watch all of them and I enjoy them all equally. Talking about fucking Hot Fuzz, Scott Pilgrim. Absolutely amazing movie. Fucking love it. I've watched it in the cinema, which was like really cool, and I want to watch it again. Those are my favorite movies. There we go. Oh my god, that was huge. Can I scale it down? All right. Oh, it's about my model. Everyone wants to know about my model. I'm really glad that everyone wants to know about my model. I've been getting so many comments on YouTube that's like, oh, my hands are getting possessed. Hands are getting possessed. There we go. So many YouTube comments were talking about my model, and everyone was like, "Your hair is so fluffy," and I was like, "Yeah, thank you." It makes me so happy getting comments like that. Honestly, it makes me so happy. Evil Yan is taking over. Oh my god, is my partner Evil Yan? Is my partner Evil Yan? Oh no. Wait, that would mean she hates gay people. Now she's looking really sad. I don't think it's her. I don't think it's her, chat. I don't think it's her. Sensible! Hello! Welcome in! Thank you so much for coming! Hope you're having a great Thursday. Hope you're having a wonderful time. Welcome on in. We're just going through some anonymous messages. We're just going through them. Hey, miss much. Welcome to the new affiliated Augie. Affiliated Augie is now. That's your like alt, I guess. Like the alt card. Yeah. Pulled a 3-star affiliated shiny Augie. Can you tell I don't play gachas either? Evil Gyon loves gay people even more. Aw, well there we go. I'm telling you, it's like Shadow the Hedgehog, right? Anyway, we're going through some anonymous messages. There is a pinned message above if you want to send in an anonymous message, and we will go through all of them. This one says, what were your inspirations for your design? Were there any specific pieces of media that inspired you? Also, what exactly would be the yellow hair thing called? I've been wanting to make some fan art, but I have no idea where to look for references for that sort of thing. Well, anonymous person who I hope is in here. If not, I will maybe reply to this? I have no idea how this will work. I'll clip it up as well. The main inspirations for my design, I think, has to be, of course, the N64. I've got a lot of N64 like inspirations here. A lot of PS1s as well, like all the hand-drawn like folds and stuff in my jacket. Other pieces of inspiration, I think someone called me out on this on like my debut or something like that, where they were like, you must be a fan of Futaba from Persona 5, and I was like, yeah, you fucking got me. You fucking got me there. that was an inspiration as well. I love foxes. I have foxes that like live nearby. So I see them and I was inspired by them. I'm not like, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, I'm not like a lovely like gracious fox, right? I'm not like spiritual or like I'm just like a city fox that goes through your bins at night. Right? You remind me of OG Crash Bandicoot. I mean, yeah, that too, honestly. It gets Spyro vibes. Yeah, exactly. Low poly. I love making low poly stuff. It actually looks so good. And yeah, there were some artists on Twitter as well. I probably won't be able to find them for y'all, but like, to inspire this as well. Yeah, I think that's about it. I love mouths like this. Nah, nah, nah. I love like flipbook mouths. I think they look so cute. I wish more games had them lately because they look absolutely amazing. And so cute. Mega Man Legends was also a big inspiration as well. I wanted the eyes to be flipbook as well, but then I realized I think you'd want a bit more like movement and like character in there, so I made them all like polygons as well. So yeah, that was my inspiration for the design really. And the yellow thing is a hair tie. The yellow thing is just a big hair tie. Imagine it as a yellow hair tie that's been tied over like a lot, right? I just needed to make it like stand out and be big and poofy, right? Yeah. So that's what that is. It's just a hair tie. I got my hair tied in a ponytail. Because I like Miku. Yeah, that does it. That does it. Yeah. How long have we got? 4 minutes. 4 minutes until we go on a break. All right. It's like a fabric. It's kind of like a fabric wrap. Yeah. If you wanted to make like a different, if you wanted to fit your style, it's just a hair tie, right? Just go for that. I'd say. It's like Undyne from yeah. Oh yeah. Like that. Like Undyne. Exactly. Yeah. So that's your reference to go to if you wanted to go for it. It's Velcro. That would be funny. Yeah. Maybe I should I like describe it in the page? Nah, I think it'll be fine. I think it'll be fine. You'll get it. Not the Velcro. Oh goodness me. Right. Is there another one? Do we have another one? Yes. Well, we had too many serious ones. if it's me, if we're going by me, no time is peanut butter jelly time because I fucking hate peanut butter. Moving on. Oh, thank you. Congrats on 500 subs. Thank you so much, whoever that was. I think this is actually the post that told me that it was Steel's tail. No, don't do that, Zach. Don't steal my tail, my hair tail thing. Don't do that. We've only just worked out how it's attached to my head. Welcome on in. I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. I think this is the last one I've actually saved, but I think some of y'all actually posted in here. Yes. Some people have posted. Some people have posted. Is it a balloon in your hair? No, it's just my hair. It's all poofy. It's all poofy and fluffy. All right, some of y'all have actually posted more. Okay. Let me save them. Let me save them out so we can take a look at them. And then we will go on a quick break. We'll have a little bit more fun, just chatting fun. And then there is something that I wanted to talk about, but we will get to that later. I'm just gonna download a few of them. I haven't got much time, so we might have to just like blast through these. Let's go. Let's fucking go. She, her. She, her, hers. That's my pronouns. Thank you for asking. Should I put that? I should probably put that in the channel somewhere, right? People like that. People should do that. Okay, I'll put that in that channel at some point. Can you do the absolute Alcuma pose for us? I'll do it in the main one for y'all. Are you just collecting different Alcuma photos? You can do it with the cake, alright? There we go. There we go. Absolute cat. Cool. Right, amazing. Last one, I think this is the last one I downloaded. Absolute Ogyon. I love how that's just a thing now. If we don't see air but can see water, does fish not see water but can see air? Alright, we're gonna go to break now. Right, we're gonna go on a quick break. It'll be 3 minutes long at most. Stretch your legs, do anything you need to do if you teach a man to fish. Stretch your legs, get some water. We're gonna be coming back. I've got a few things lined up. The stream might be a little bit shorter than 2 hours, but yeah. I've got a little thing that we wanted to talk about. So yeah, go. Thank you for posting that immediately in the Discord. Right. Okay. Let's go on a break. Alright. I'll see you later, chat. Be right back. Right, chat? Hey. 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 How's it going? How's it going? You alright? Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. I hope you got your legs are... I hope your legs are suitably stretched and your... Can I hear myself? Nope, there you go. Hello, hello, how's it going? Right, okay. Let's just have some fun. I've really, it's a pretty loose plan here, so we're just gonna have some fun for a bit, just have a bit of celebration, you know. I didn't want to commit to anything too big because I just wanted to have some fun with y'all, and you know, just to demonstrate to y'all that we only do like the high tier content here. We only have like the high tier quality content that you deserve on this channel. You know, we make games. We're very professional, and it's some. Now that I'm affiliate, I gotta up my game. You know, I gotta up my game. I gotta make sure that it's what you deserve. It's what the subscribers deserve. It's what the followers deserve. So, nothing but professional, high quality streams from here on out. No more silly business, right? We did the silly business just now. All done. We gotta make it serious, right? Right? Yeah. So we're gonna tier list some game engines. I'm gonna be honest, chat. This week has been a fucking ordeal. This week has been a fucking ordeal. I got the poster out. Like, I got the announcement poster out. And that was as much as I could do. That was as far as I could make it. Let me bring the music in, so that we have something to listen to. But yeah, chat, the fact that I was able to, just have like have the cake and everything ready was as much as I was able to do. So let's just have some fun, right? Here we go. Have some music in the background for us. Let's do some tier lists. All right, let's tier list some game engines, chat. Why not? This is what we're gonna be fucking doing for the next hour. You're with me in the long haul. Right. Okay. So immediately, what have we got? We've got. I don't think anyone's gonna complain about that one, right? Like, sure, it's got a lot going for it, and there's a lot of things you can do, but like, the whole like labor thing is a bit much. I'm gonna leave that one there. I don't think I'm like very controversial by putting that there. Hopefully I'm not. Oh my god, RPG Maker of course is peak. Oh my god, is it? Oh well, there we go. RPG Maker is like peak, just because it's like a old school engine, absolutely amazing. All the best games use RPG Maker. All the best horror games use RPG Maker. S tier. Easy as that, isn't it? Completely simple as that. We got fucking Scratch. We got fucking Scratch over here. God, I loved using Scratch when I was a kid. I'm gonna be honest, I used Scratch when I was a kid in school, and then and then I just didn't think about it for like years. And then suddenly I saw a video of like someone running the entirety of Doom. Scratch is the only good 3D game engine. Exactly, the shit that people could do in Scratch is crazy. I have no idea what it's like nowadays. I imagine it's exactly the same as it always is. For the fact that I learned how to make video games using it, hey. Exactly, can't name a single bad 3D game made in it. Exactly. Though I do think you're joshing because people have indeed made 3D games in it. Like really simple, like ray tracing, like ray traced ones. Not the ray traced we know now. Ray traced as in like Wolfenstein 3D, like one of those. I gotta be honest, chat. I have not used Godot as much as I should. I know a lot of people really like love it. When I tried it, there was a few features that were missing that like maybe not use it for the projects I was working on, but I hear it's come leaps and bounds now. So I'm gonna put it in A because it's got like great potential, right? Not to be biased. Go on. No, I want to hear your opinions. Sway me, chat. Again, like, if you like, tell me anything. Go on, sway my opinion. Unity's just sad. There's so much that I've done in Unity, and so much that I really like about Unity, but it's just fallen off so much. Like, documentation is like abysmal in Unity. Like, it gives you a tutorial that's like out of date. like immediately, and like it's really hard to find ones that are. I don't like anything that they're doing with selling games. Like, I wouldn't make a commercial game in Unity now. Exactly. I wouldn't make a commercial game in Unity, like, now. Especially because I don't, like... The people who usually make them are usually because, like, it would take far too much time to learn a new engine and get that developed, and, like, it's not worth the money. However, like... I don't know, I don't have that living on me, so I don't think I'd make something commercial. However, that being said though, my model is run using Unity. Like, my like VTuber engine is using Unity right now. So like, I can't put it down too far. Like, if someone uses Unity, that's absolutely fine. It's just an absolute shame. I am gonna put it in like B or C. VTube Studio runs in Unity. Most VTube software runs in Unity, which can be a problem. B. You want to say B? Should I put it in B? I know you said B because of B, but should I put it B? I'm putting it B. I'm putting it B. I'm gonna be honest, chat. I had to remind myself what Construct is, and I have fucking used Construct. Construct is let me find like. Can I find like a like a photo of Construct, right? It's really fucking simple. It reminds me a lot of Game Maker, actually. Clearly this shows you should recreate VTube Studio and FNAF engine. Live 2D support for Open Freddy would actually be killer. That would actually be so funny. I don't know if I'd do that, but like, you could. You fucking could. Alright, here we go. Here's what Construct looks like. It's very much like Game Maker. Very, 3D model software ranking. Ooh, I mean, sure, I'll do that. Why not? Yeah, it looks like this, basically. I made a game with it way back when, like 2014, I want to say. And it's pretty good, but it's like pretty limited as well. So I can't, when it compared to like Game Maker, I'm gonna say it's like C. Game Maker, by the way, class game engine. Can you see that? Actually, it's a black logo on a dark gray background. Can you see it? Game Maker is so fucking good. I made a game using Game Maker last year, and honestly, I had so much fun making it. It's like really good. Oh, you can see it. Okay, cool. No, I really like Game Maker. I like the way it's set up. Also, Undertale's made using it. So there we go. Great games make great engines. That is not true because of the one that we're gonna do next. Game Maker. I mean, it kind of sounds like that with my accent, doesn't it? Speaking of great games made using engines, I couldn't tell you, and honestly, I have not had much joy looking through code using Game Maker. However, I have been told on reasonably good authority that the code I was looking at is not a great example of how to make games in ClickTeam Fusion. This is ClickTeam Fusion, by the way. Scott used it to make the 2D FNAF games. There we go. Scratch.io the GOAT. I know. I would say I really like... For really simple projects, it's really good for that. Like, if you really don't want to take up too much of your time hand coding something, like typing it out, it's really great for that. But it's also like really old. Like, it's a really old engine, chat. You've got so much better opportunities with other engines. Like, you've got so much better like avenues to go down. So if you're making a 2D game, I genuinely wouldn't recommend ClickTeam Fusion. The only people I know who use ClickTeam Fusion are people who are like making FNAF likes and want to keep the aesthetic, or are modding FNAF 1, or in my case, reading the code far too like much. Like, so I don't know. I really don't know. Maybe this is a bit too much, but let's see. I'm gonna put it in C, just because, like, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone unless you really want that, like, FNAF look. And even then, you're not getting the FNAF look, because the FNAF look is, like, old school 3D renders, so it's, like, not even about that. I don't know. I would not recommend it personally if you are starting an engine. I would recommend RPG Maker if you're making an RPG game, just because it's really fucking good. Game Maker if you're making a 2D game. And I think people aren't gonna like me for this. Okay. No, actually, I'm gonna put it there. I think people are gonna hate me for that. I genuinely am gonna put Unreal in S. Okay, call me biased, chat. Unreal Engine 5 or any Unreal. I started using Unreal in Unreal Engine 3. So I was deep in the mines then. Then Unreal Engine 4 came out with blueprint system and everything, and I was like, this is so freaking cool. And like, yeah, it's the issues are how people use it, I would say. Unreal is incredibly versatile, and you also get, like, the source code. So if there's something you don't like, you could just, like, download the source code, just change it yourself. There is, I just said Unreal 5, the bad guy here. Yeah, the only problem with Unreal is the fact that, like, it's beholden to whatever Epic Games is making at the time, but also what an engineer in Epic Games is making at the time. Case in point, like, there is the tool of, like, I'm gonna turn down the volume for myself. There is the ability in Unreal to bake lighting, right? So instead of, like, real-time lighting, like with all the bounce lights and everything, like how the light bounces around the scene and everything, instead of it being real-time, so like your computer has to calculate like where the shadows are at all points, it will baked like a cake. Like my cake. You can bake the lighting, right? So you as the artist can just like run through the whole like shadow calculations and everything, right? And like that will just get saved out as basically like an image that's like plastered on like the walls and geometry and everything. Old school, incredibly old school. Games from like 1995 have it. Like Quake was the most famous one to have baked lighting, right? And like, so Unreal of course has had this feature since 1. And then in 5, some engineer in at Epic Games made the ability to make it like run like 10 times faster. It ran using your GPU, it used like real-time ray tracing to like bake it non-real time. It was amazing. Like it was 10 times faster and it was brilliant. Everyone fucking loved it. Brilliant. But then Fortnite came out. Fortnite came out and Fortnite can't use anything baked. It has to all be real time because you're like building structures and destroying it and shadows are just going to be everywhere and it's an open world. And like they made Fortnite and all their team worked on Fortnite basically. And if they weren't doing that, they were working on like movies and things. So they don't care about baked lighting anymore. And so Epic have created like new systems that like just don't use baked lighting anymore or will like literally crash. Like, the game just crashes if you try to do it. They worked on movies. Yeah, so much of Epic is now working on, like digital sound stages. And, like, so many, like, Star Wars, like, shows and stuff all use Unreal just for its, like, its things. So Fortnite is to blame. I can't blame Epic for wanting to work on features that they will use in their games. It's like a good ROI, right? But it does mean that like this like cool system that like so many devs will use and it will speed up your games. Like there's so many games that I make don't need real-time lighting. They just don't need it. I could just bake it. However, that feature is kind of being left behind, and that engineer that worked on like that's speeding it up, the bro left the company and that feature is just dead there now. So like anytime someone complains about, like, oh, Unreal is, like, really slow, like, it's all stuttery, it's, like, really laggy, like, the frames are all blurry, a lot of that is just from, like, can be avoided. If it can be avoided, I mean, there was, like, Hi-Fi Rush was Unreal, and that thing looks fucking amazing. But, it just takes some time, and it just it needs you to turn off a lot of things, and realize that, like, sometimes you'll be flying on your own. Sometimes you have to make your own systems, right? To make it work. Which is just really annoying. If I heard that anywhere else, I wouldn't believe it. Well, there you go. I mean, take this from someone who's been working with Unreal for, like, a very long time, both by myself, and also in, like, big companies. Like, I've worked with Unreal in, like, huge companies. And, like, it's all the same. Like, you just gotta turn off some systems, buddy. Do you really need all that stuff? Hi-Fi Rush of all games uses Unreal 5. Exactly. Unreal 4. I know that off the top of my head. So yeah. There's my rankings. For that, yeah, there's my rankings for game engines. Unreal 4, Unreal 5, they're all much of a muchness. There's my, I got obsessed again. There's my game engine rankings. Wasn't that fun? Didn't we all have fun? Didn't we? Is that Roblox? Yes, it fucking is. Oh, my partner has raised a finger, raised a hand. Renpy! Oh, fucking hell, Renpy! Renpy! Hold on. Oh, I fucking did. I need Renpy in there. Hold on. We gotta shout out to our visual novel makers. Renpy logo. We gotta put fucking Renpy in there. Mainly because the icon is so fucking classic. Absolute classic icon. Where are we? Well, where are we? Where are we at? Where are we at? Where are we at, chat? Where are we at? Choose files. Will you see that? No, you won't. Oh, that's good. Oh, I should have said that before I did that. Boom. Fucking love Renpy. It's just Python. If you don't know what Renpy is, by the way, it's a Python library for making visual novels. It's like super fucking easy to make visual novels in it. It's actually great. Doki Doki Literature Club is made using Renpy, and it's just like incredible. I did the you did the what did you make? Octo, what did you make? Anyway, there's my list. Enjoy, fight in the comments. Fight in the comments. Visual novel next. I mean, I fucking love making visual novels. I actually really love making visual novels. It's one of my favorite things to do. Octo, is that? What is that? Octo, what have you put in the Discord? What the fuck is that? What have you done? Hold on, let me put, it's an onion ring. Oh, it's an onion ring, is it? It's an onion. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, you're right, it sure fucking is. It's an onion ring. Hello, did I miss anything? You missed the onion ring. I hate it. Thanks. I hate it a lot. Thanks, Octo. I really appreciate it. Will we be getting the, will you be able to play as the onion ring in, VR chat? That's the question. I just ate the onion. Frogo, no! Frogo, no! Oh, by the way, you also missed us ranking game engines, because, like, that's the kind of high-quality content you can expect from a newly affiliated Augie. That's the kind of stuff you can look forward to. God, go ham. So happy. Ogyon rings! Ogyon rings is so fucking good. Hello, son. Hey, what the fuck was that? We're ranking game engines. What are you talking about? We're ranking game engines. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. We got nothing going on. We didn't have that. No, none of that. None of that. Don't worry. Don't worry. Girl, my name is Sam. We talk every day. I know we talk every day. I'm saying hello, welcome. I'm welcoming you in. It's a treat to have you, and I like saying hello and give you love every day, right? Who invited Roblox, bro? D. Watch the. Whoa! Whoa! Someone did the redeem! Whoa! There! Let's go! I've got some really fun. I got some fun ones. Anyway, speaking of Roblox, everyone watch the People Makes Games video about Roblox, because it's fucking good. Anyway. Well, that was fun. Let's do another one. The two things that I'm known for. Making games and FNAF. Also, let me take a drink of water. Here we go. This is where it gets spicy, chat. This is where it gets absolutely spicy. God, we took ages doing that one. I'm gonna have to speed through these, aren't I? Right, here's a good spot. Throw your opinions, throw your takes in chat. Question, is this purely based on gameplay? No. I will take aesthetics. I'll take gameplay, I will know legacy. I know nothing about FNAF, so it's gonna be enlightening. Alright, I'm gonna explain this as much as possible for Fyra. Just so I was gonna spend another 5 nights at Freddy's to holds me back in. Right. FNAF 1, absolute classic, brilliant game, the aesthetics are amazing. It's very simple, and it's like, once you get the hang of it, it's like pretty simple, but you know, it's a one and done game. Like, only people who are replaying this game are absolutely hardcore. It's like, yeah, I'd say me, but I'm not very good at it. So, hey, I love the original game. I might actually put it, I tell you what, I'm gonna put it in S. Fucking love that game. I love the original game. The original game is an absolute classic. I love going back to it and playing it, and there's a reason why I've looked at the code for as long as I have. FNAF 2. FNAF 2 is like FNAF 1, but more. Like, there's a lot going on. It's a bit overwhelming at times, which means I don't think it's an S. However, like, I think it's a really fucking good game as well, and it adds a lot of the story little bits that make you realize that there's a lot more going on than you expect. It has Mangle and Balloon Kid. It has the has Puppet. Like, it's fucking everything. Paper Pals are in there as well. Absolutely great. FNAF tier list, indeed. Balloon who? Yo, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the message. Oh, thank you. Oh, did that not set up for the... Oh, I will set that up as an alert, but thank you so much. Please accept this 20p. Thank you! Oh, Fredo! Yeah, I was gonna say, oh, Fredo! I didn't realize you said that in chat as well. Thank you so much, I really appreciate that. The message effects, I will also TTS, maybe, because I think that would be funny. So yeah, FNAF 2 is great. I really love FNAF 2, it's really good. However, it is a bit overwhelming. I think maybe there's too many things going on at once, especially because of the, like, once you get to, like, night 5 and night 6, it's like a lot. No, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that, Sand. I really do appreciate that. Any support you guys give me is, like, honestly means the absolute world to me. I honestly don't deserve it. It's amazing. I hope the cameras were more useful. Yeah, that's true. Alright, this is this is the spoof game. So Scott said he released FNAF 3, but it wasn't FNAF 3. It was like this, like, it was one of his old games, the Runner games. Anyone remember the name of the Runner game? Because I can't fucking remember it. I can't remember it for the fucking life of me. Oh, that's fine, don't worry, that's fine. Peak. Well, because I forgot the name of it? Why, what's happening? Why? Because I forgot the name of the running guy, you know? I can't remember it. Anyway, it's a horrible game. I actually really don't like it. Freddy in Space is this one. These two, isn't it? Oh my god, this is really showing me. It's very funny, but it's actually a really horrible game with some terrible hitboxes. D. FNAF 3 in general. FNAF 3 in general, is like, it's like if Scott took the feedback of like there being too many animatronics and just turned it to one. I love the aesthetic of FNAF 3, but when it came out, I didn't like it. Because, again, one animatronic I thought was a bit of a cop-out. But also because, like, I liked that in the first two games, like, you only died when you got... you only got jump-scared when you died, right? It's like a failure. This one uses it as a bit of a cop-out, like, you think you've died, but you actually haven't. And, like, although it's a cool subversion on that, I don't know, it kind of broke a very important staple for me when these two games were coming out. It's been, like, over 10 years now or something like that, so like FNAF 3 is just Half-Life 2 sewers design. Yeah, but what happens if I fucking love that shit? And I do love it for that, so I'm gonna go A for that one as well. B. I also think some of the lore stuff is a bit, I don't know, interesting, but it can be a bit intrusive. I don't know, how do you feel about all those like Easter egg mini games, like that's like spliced in between the main game? What do you actually like? Well, what do you guys think about it? Because like I think they can be really fun. I think they can like add to the experience a lot, but I also think that they can be like wholly overused. You know what I mean? Especially for like a game like 3. Yeah. FNAF 3 always makes me with the video game smell-o-vision. I like that. FNAF 4, S tier. I fucking love FNAF 4. The only problem with FNAF 4 is that you can't really stream it because is it the main menu music or is it the ambience? It's the ambience. The ambient sounds are copyright claimed, so you can't actually play it on stream. Absolute pain. God, if only someone was re-implementing the 2D FNAF games and was able to replace assets. So yeah, that's an absolute pain. I absolutely love, though, that it's a game that forces streamers and like YouTubers to be quiet. Like, all of these, like, a lot of horror games are like dulled down by the fact that you've got this like talking head in the corner, like me, who just sort of chats around and like has some jokes and everything, and it makes it a little bit easier. Thank you so much. Oh my god, Sweet Pea, hi, how's it going? Welcome in. Hi everyone. Oh my goodness, thank you so much for coming. My name is Ogyon. I am a game developer. I make games. I am a retro 3D fox, and I've just hit affiliate. I hit affiliate on Sunday, and we are all celebrating that. We are all celebrating that by doing a bit of a cheeky tier list. You know how it's like, you know what it's like. Sweet Pea, thank you so much for that. How's the celebrations going? It's going brilliantly. We're all having a great time. We're all playing around with our emotes. We got new emotes in, made by the amazing Starabee. We've got channel points that do some fun stuff, and oh my goodness, we're having a great time. I announced all the art tags as well, so people are making some lovely art. We're having a great time. Thank you so much. How are you, Sage? How was your stream? How was it? Did you have a great time? I hope you did. Some people are able to like work out what you were doing, but like, oh, you were playing Elden Ring. Oh my goodness. I hope you're having a lovely time there. I hope you're having a great time. Oh, I just minimized that. You needed to see that, didn't you, chat? There we go. It was good playing Elden Ring, some real giggles. Amazing. I'll have to check out the VOD later, because I really enjoy it. I enjoy watching you play Elden Ring, as much as I dislike playing Elden Ring myself. I'm not one of the rangers, I just stumbled into the stream. Well, thank you for stumbling in. Thank you so much for stumbling in, Raiden. Oh, Raiden, great name, great day, good day for it. Do you know what day it is? Metal Gear Solid, if you didn't know, but that was FNAF 4 Halloween edition. Some great additions to this one, though I did break a few gameplay mechanics, but it's like, Around about the same. I don't know if I, like, have to, like, Elden Ring Autism activate. Y'all pop off in the chat. I have nothing to bring because I own the game, but I have not played it. It didn't really bring too much, but it was fun to see, so I'm gonna put it next to... Nah. It didn't bring much, so I'm gonna put it in C. I think that's probably the nicest thing I can give to it. Is this FNAF World? Oh, this is the FNAF World before FNAF World? I'm gonna skip that one because I'm not quite sure what that one is. Oh my god, let's go to FNAF World itself. FNAF World... Okay. Astral Spiff has made me kind of like FNAF World. Is that weird to say? Astral Spiff kind of makes me not knowing a thing about FNAF. I'm so sorry. It's made me kind of like FNAF World for some of its, like, quirks and weirdness. I do think it's, like, not a great game, but I do like some of the weird stuff it's got in it, so I am gonna put that. I'm gonna put that in C. FNAF World's really good, IMO. If FNAF World is so good, why isn't there FNAF 2 World? Because the reception was so bad, Scott just said he didn't want to do it. Stockholm Syndrome into liking FNAF World. No, there's some really fun parts about it, but there's also some really bad parts as well. Sister Location. Oh, the Sister Location, like, troll game. Where you're like, you're in a camp, aren't you? It's another one of Scott's old games that he's just remade and put, like, a Freddy model on, isn't it? Yeah. It was fun. D. I haven't played it. D. Sister Location, though, is fucking great. I fucking love Sister Location. Sister Location is a bit linear and is kind of a great example of where the franchise was leading to, especially nowadays. But that's the one where you crawl around the vents. Yeah, exactly. It's the one with Ballora. It's the one, yeah. It's great. It has a great visual style as well. Massive props to Scott for having a different visual style every, Sit and Survive, that's the one. That's this one. I'm glad someone's remembering all these names. I'm so bad with names. Thank you. Props to Scott for having a different aesthetic for every FNAF game. Like, all of them are very different from each other. It's really fun to see. My Sister's Location. Lovely. I really love Sister Location. It's very linear, but I do enjoy what it's got going for it. Which one's this one? Is this one the pizza one, chat? Is this one the pizza one? I'm gonna skip it just for now, because I can't remember which one it is. I have... It's the pizza one! My partner says it's the pizza one! D. It's like fun. It's like fun, it's like great. There's a little bit in custom the Pizzeria Simulator. Oh my god, it's Pizzeria Simulator itself, isn't it? Oh, fucking hell. Fucking hell. It's Pizzeria Simulator itself, S. I'm such a fucking... I thought it was the mini game at the beginning where you give the pizzas out. I thought that was a different... My partner looks so offended with me. My partner looks so offended with me. No, this is Pizzeria Simulator. I fucking... It's your... I know it's your favorite. I'm so sorry. It's my favorite too. It's one of my favorites. I fucking love I love it. You make your own pizzeria, and the game just, like, falls apart from there. Like, in a horror way, not in a bad way. It's really good. It's a really fucking good game. I can feel the disappointment from here. Oh dear. Oops. Oh my god, no. Fucking love that one. I'm gonna have to speed through these, aren't I? Ultimate Custom Night is fun. It's a great idea, and I like some of the lore that's in it. Oh god, now we come to the 3D ones. The 3D ones made by... Wouldn't it be an absolute shame if I can't remember any of the fucking... no, and you're mouthing it, but I don't know it. Nope. Nope. I'm gonna fucking... That doesn't say... No, wrong one! Fucking hell. I'm so bad at this. Steel Wool! Steel Wool! Steel Wool Studios! I'm a disappointment to everyone. My partner's hitting the Shinji right now. Steel Wool Studios. We're reached the Steel Wool Studios games. When the series goes from 2D, 3D, there's two options. It's peak or it's shit. Yeah, I think there's a bit of granularity in there. For a totally professional game dev, totally professional FNAF enjoyer, who can't remember any of the fucking games. I think there is a little bit more of a granularity for the 3D games. For example, Help Wanted 1. Pretty good. I actually really enjoy it. Same with Dreadbear. I think actually Dreadbear is actually a really great improvement. I think they've taken a lot of their learnings on board with Dreadbear, the expansion. But no, it's a really good VR experience. I actually really enjoy it, and I like some of the story elements that it adds. I'm avoiding this one because I can't fucking remember that one. I'm gonna be honest, chat. The AR game I never played, and I heard from everyone that it was a bit crap. So I'm gonna put it in D. But if someone wants to say otherwise, then it's shit. E. So yeah, I'm gonna put it there. Let's do some of the main ones, and I'll do the side ones like Freddy in Space. I really don't care about, because they're kind of fun ones. The U2's one I couldn't give too much of a shit about. But Sister Location. Okay, chat, I'm gonna have to be real with you. If there's something that you need to learn about me, I love messy games. I love games that are broken. I love games that had one idea and then they had to change the idea and it just ends up being an absolute mess. I find those games fascinating and I love playing them. I like games that have just had to just get out the door by any means necessary and it's missing a whole bunch of stuff and there's nothing that could be done. I love games like that. Especially games with empty open worlds are really fascinating to me because they've spent so much time making an open world but they haven't been able to fill it. I love LA Noire for that. Absolutely amazing game, but they rushed that thing so much. Okay, is there the obligatory kart racing game? Yeah, five laps is here. Sonic 06, right? I mean, fucking maybe. I might actually play that. I love, Mamba. I love games like that. I love, LA Noire for that. I love Final Fantasy 15. Final Fantasy 15 is one of my favorite games. Absolutely incredible game, but you can tell the parts that they've just had to cut out. You can tell the parts they've just had to cut out and remove just for time. It's incredible seeing all those different changes, and Security Breach is one of them. They had an idea for Security Breach that they just didn't do for some reason. Time, money, Scott, I don't know. They had to pivot, they had to change, and the result is such a mess. If FNAF dropped a resource management game or restaurant soon without the horror, my autism would eat that shit out. There are fan games where you just run a pizzeria and there's no horror. The only difference is that you're the purple guy and you just have to kill some kids every once in a while. That's all you got. White woman jump scare, exactly. I love the designs, I love the artists. Okay, no, everyone in Steel Wool, I'm gonna say it now, everyone in Steel Wool did an amazing job. I think just the project was just maybe a little bit above their station. It was just a bit much for them. And I don't blame them for that, honestly. These things happen. It's a big game and they're a small team. These things kind of happen. It's a shame that it turned out the way it is. So I'm actually gonna give it the benefit of the doubt, and I actually really enjoy playing it. It's getting a B. I think that's really weird to say, but I really fucking enjoy it. I think it's great. If I can kill the kid in Reaper, I could do it in FNAF. Nice. Security Breach would be fixed. It was a mess from the beginning. Exactly. Even if they just patched all the bugs out, which they kind of have actually. A lot of the bugs have been patched out. It's still just a bit of a mess, and I enjoy it for that sake. Ruin is a lot better, but in the fact that it's less buggy and better designed, so it's a B as well. I'll put it in there. And it's also the introduction of the Mimic! That's the movie game. care about that. This is Help Wanted 2. I actually don't know. I actually don't know much about Help Wanted 2. I hear it's quite good though, so I'm gonna put it. But I hear that doesn't do much from the original one, so I'm gonna do that one. Made by Edwin, exactly. Help Wanted 2 exists. Yeah, I'm gonna say that it exists. Let's leave it at that. Don't know what that one is. It's not ringing any bells, that one. I have opinions against the Mimic. Ooh, as in the game or just the Mimic in general? Because we'll get to the Mimic. We'll get to the Mimic. 5 Laps at Freddy's. Okay, 5 Laps at Freddy's is actually really, really interesting. If you don't know about this, chat. So Click Team Fusion, of course, made the game engine that Scott used to make the original FNAF games. Click Team Fusion, Click Team, the studio, made 5 Laps at Freddy's. For like, in Unreal, I think it is. Oh yeah, no, it is Unreal. It looks so Unreal. It's not good. It's not good. It's quite a bad kart sim with some ideas that sound good on paper, but like kind of don't really pull off very well. It looks bad. It's just not. It's not great. This is fascinating because I know so little about it. That's why I'm trying to explain it to you. I'm forgetting every name in the process. It's so bad. I'm gonna put it in E. I really don't like FNAF. I think a lot of FNAF fans are kind of endeared towards it because it's such a unique concept, but I genuinely don't like it. I genuinely don't like it. But yeah. Springtrap's design is too grumpy for how theatrical the guy is. Ooh. I kind of like that. My FNAF knowledge goes as far as how many videos Spiff made of that. That's fair. It's an early... Oh, is 5 Laps still in early access? Is that true? Is it still in early access? Okay, so they are improving it. Okay, so I really don't want to give it a judgment if it's still being worked on. Oh no, okay, so it's still in early access. Okay, so it's planned to release. Okay, I don't want to give it a pass then. I don't want to give it a score then if they're still working on it, because it could look like very different from the time it's finished. Okay, I won't rate 5 Laps. They clearly need to look well and stuff like yeah. Let's do the I could do this one, but the pit, is it called? No. Into the Pit. I could do Into the Pit now, but I actually really want to talk about the Mimic, because the Mimic's really interesting to me, because like it's so clear that like, how am I going to explain that? I need to explain this in a way that Fire will get. Fire, you know how there was like yeah, you know how there was Tomb Raider, right? And then like, then there was Uncharted, right? And like Uncharted was like very much like Tomb Raider, but like third-person action-y, right? And that did really well, and Tomb Raider wasn't doing well. So then they rebooted Tomb Raider to be more like Uncharted. Well, I know you haven't played any of them, but you know them basically. They kind of leapfrogged off each other, right? Like one inspired the other that then inspired the other, right? This sort of Ouroboros effect, right? Right? Yeah, yeah. The Mimic is like if FNAF inspired Poppy's Playtime, and then FNAF was inspired by Poppy's Playtime, basically. Like, oh yeah, no, Steel Will absolutely cooked. Steel Will absolutely cooked with this game. Like, animations, designs, everything looks brilliant. Looks absolutely amazing. I can't fault it for that. Steel Will cooked with it. However, oh, it's like a first-person horror. You just go down a corridor, basically, and then you get jump-scared every once in a while. It's quite linear. My problem with I love the story as well. I love the story of it. I love how different it is from the other ones. But it's just a linear, like, you just go from one place to the other, and there's not much, like, freedom to do other stuff in there as well. I don't know. It's just a bit of a shame, especially from, like, how free, like, you were in, like, Pizzeria Simulator to trying to make your old... I would avoid horror if it wasn't up. Yeah, no, it's absolutely fine. So, I feel ashamed. I feel, you know... It's a shame, I feel, with this one. AI takeover stories. Yeah, that's absolutely fair. FC. Yeah, I'd say it exists. It's a shame, though, because I do really enjoy it. But yeah, that's kind of where I want to put it. Oh god, we got 30 minutes. All right, I wanna wrap these up. I wanna wrap these up and get these out. Into the Pit, really great small 2D game, absolutely brilliant, great spin-off, great adaptation of a story. And the other ones I really don't care about. Yay! Does that look alright with you, chat? Does that look alright? Does that look okay? I got 12 minutes. No, I think it can go for a little bit longer actually. I don't know. Into the Peak. I really like it. Does that look alright? Does that look fine? Hold on, let me just check a few things while I'm working here. Nods cluelessly. Yeah, that'll do. That'll do. Alright, okay. We'll leave that there. There. Tier lists. I do have disagreements, but that's fine. Exactly. If you disagree with something, that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine. If you think something is higher than another one, absolutely fine. That's what makes everyone unique and special and great. There we go. I love that. All right, everyone. Oh my god, there's the cake. I forgot about the cake. There it is. Ah, right. Okay. I think it should be F for Freddy. Damn. That would be... Imagine doing that and then someone else sees that tier list, like, out of context. Like, sees a screenshot of it out of context and gets absolutely tilted. Wouldn't that be so funny? It's like, oh, why do you hate all of them? That'd be so fucking funny. Alright, chat. Let's wind down now. Let's wind down our celebrations. This has been really great. This has really put a smile on my face. I've really enjoyed today. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in, for enjoying. Anyone who's sent in, like anyone who's followed, anyone who's subscribed, thank you so much. Sent bits in. Absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate the love you've been giving for the last while. Again, I know I keep saying it, but I'm genuinely surprised I got to affiliate as quickly as I did, and it really means the world to me that you want to see me, you know, you want to see me and you want to support me. I'm genuinely undeserving of how much you've given. So yeah, thank you all so much for that. I really do appreciate it. Congratulations for reaching it. Thank you. I mean, it was you guys really. It was you guys tuning in, it was you guys following and everything. And yeah, I don't know. I've got some goals down there. I've got some goals, but if we can hit them at some point, that would be amazing. I'm just gonna try and keep doing this as much as I can, and we'll play some games, we'll make some games. I've got some ideas. We have onion rings. Yeah, exactly. We're just gonna go and we're gonna see what we can do, really. I think that's as much as you can ask for, really. But yeah, I wanted to talk about what we're gonna what's the next few months are probably gonna look like, or at least what the next months are gonna look like. Because as I'll grow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I wanted to talk about what's going on and what things are probably gonna look like for the next month. So I'm gonna crack on with this video. I'm gonna work on the next Open Freddy video. That's gonna be my main priority. Getting some fun edited videos out there is gonna be my priority. If you want to see the updates, if you want to see all that lovely coding updates, head on over to the Discord. We've got a discussion thread there. You can check out all of it. We have a stream on Saturday and no more stream. No, that's not true. That's not true. We have a stream on Saturday. I'm playing RV there yet with a bunch of V-Brits. It's gonna be absolutely fucking amazing. But we're gonna see how things shape out because so I'm gonna talk about it. If you don't know, Hi, Stream Elements. If you don't know, I am a professional game developer. Like, I have a job of making games. I work in like companies and everything. Like, that is my full-time job, and I make silly little things on the side. I do this because I find it really fun. You can bully Stream Elements now. We always bully Stream Elements. Wouldn't it be funny if there was an actual person typing all of that out and we're just bullying them for no reason? Anyway, that's an intrusive thought for another time. So yeah, I do it professionally, and of course that takes up a lot of my time. And if you don't know this, the game industry is pretty fucked at the moment. I can safely say that it's pretty fucked right now. It's got a lot of problems, and like job stability is like really, really bad right now. And that's bad because it's my job. It's the only thing I can do. I'm good at making games, and apparently maybe streaming. I don't know, if there's a lot of scuff, I'll have you to decide about that. But yeah, it's pretty bad right now. And so I kind of wanted to give you a bit of a heads up that I'm hoping that this won't affect the streams that much, but I wanted to give you a little bit of a heads up because I feel like if I didn't say it, it would maybe hide some of that. I know some of y'all are like, some of y'all want to be game developers as well, and I don't want to sugarcoat anything from you. Making games is absolutely fucking amazing, but like, it's also really, really fucking bad right now. It's really, really unstable. So I wanted to be honest with you and say that a few hours ago, from this, like a few hours from now, from right now, before I was gonna go live, I was like preparing myself to go live, I was made redundant from my job. They let me go. The company I was working for wasn't a great company, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not gonna say who they are. That's gonna stay completely hidden. You don't need to know that. But they just dropped a whole bunch of people. And I was one of them. It was kind of coming. It was kind of this long. I felt it coming, but you know, nothing prepares you for when that happens. So, that's basically what's happened. It was kind of ironic. I was gonna prepare for this. I was preparing for this like really fun stream where we were gonna have like a really great time. And then they kind of dropped that on me. So yeah, it's not gonna be. Yeah, it's really not good. So I gotta find myself a new place. I gotta find myself a new place to work so I can carry on making games, and then I can carry on, you know, making all you know, streaming and everything for you. I'm all the fingers crossed, chat, that I can still keep. I want to still do 2 streams a week, and I still want to work on the video. But of course, things have to take priority, and I need to make sure that I have, you know, somewhere to work and stuff like that. So yeah, that's what's going on, and it is what the game scene is looking like. I don't know, if you want a fun game developer VTuber, you gotta know what it's actually like. You know what I mean? I just wanted to be honest about you all about that. I don't. Oh, thanks, Fire. I really appreciate that. I really, really appreciate that. I'm deserving of that, honestly. So yeah, in terms of support, like, y'all just tuning in and being there and chatting away and like making me laugh in the Discord is honestly more than I could ever deserve. Like, it really means a lot to me there. And yeah, fingers crossed, if anything does change and if I may need to scale back or anything, you'll be the first to know. But yeah, I wanted to give you a bit of a heads up, a little bit of an idea of what's going on with me, and a little bit of like what's happening. You know, just in case anything make Hoggy laugh more, that is in order. Yeah. Throw some stupid posts in the Discord, honestly. It makes me laugh. It makes me laugh every single time. But yeah. until something changes, we're gonna carry on. We're gonna keep having some streams in the evenings and in the weekends. We're gonna two streams a week is what I'm aiming for. Again, so sorry if I can't do that, but like throw my meme video library. Isn't that basically what the meme channel is? Rocco. But yeah, we're just gonna go as much as we can, and that's Miss Ogyon to you, kid. But that's all good. That's all good. How long do streams last usually? 2 hours. 2 hours usually. I usually go for 2 hours. I think I might be going for 3 for this collab on Saturday, but like that's all I got. So yeah. Not too long. I know last weekend I went for 6 hours, but that's because I had nothing fucking better to do and my partner was away. So yeah, just go for that. No, it is not. What is playing right now? What's playing? Oh my goodness me. No, that is fucking I can't remember the name of it. Goodness, my brain is really frazzled. But yeah, that's the update. What a fun update that was. Yeah, getting affiliate, getting affiliate and celebrating affiliate and getting dropped from your job in the same day. Not a fun feeling. Not a fun feeling. So yeah, it's just been really overwhelming, but like, I hope everyone's, oh, do you want some silence? Fucking, let me, hold on. I got it. Yeah, it's, so that's the update. I wanted to just let you know what's going on. She, her pronoun, I'm gonna put that in the, in the channel, in the channel. Woo! So yeah, fun times ahead. If anything changes, you'll be the first to know. Follow my hold on, yeah, I know some changed. Let me find it. I actually downloaded it for this reason, for the channel. Shining Force 2. It's Elven Town from Shining Force 2. There you go. Finally. You'll be the most clear Twitch's side, you'll be the most successful fox that makes trillions in an hour. Look, if I make someone laugh and they can make me laugh as well, that's all I need. That's all I need. We're gonna make some, yeah. I'm gonna carry on making fun games whenever I'm able to. Check the Discord for any updates. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Blue Sky. If you haven't checked my YouTube video out, go ahead. That's right there. Go ahead and check the video out. And yeah, I think we'll leave it there. Oh my god, we're over time. Jesus, that's the first time that's happened. All right, chat. Thank you so much for this affiliate celebration. Honestly, you guys are absolutely amazing. You guys are so cool. I genuinely did not expect to be doing a celebration stream. Oh, like just a week after the debut. You guys are fucking insane. So yeah, let's keep making some silly games and playing them badly. I will see you all later. I'll see you all on Saturday at 6 p.m. So an hour before the one today, right? Oh fuck, the fucking ads are on. Anyone who's not listening to an ad, how's it going? I'll probably just end it here, really. I didn't realize the ads were gonna run. Oh no, ad starts in a minute. All right, we'll leave it there. Guys, you're so fucking amazing. You're amazing. I love you all so much. I will see you on Saturday at 6 p.m. We're gonna play some RV there. Yeah, it's gonna be incredible. Thank you so much, Fire. Thank you, Frog, for modding. Thank you, everyone who's followed, who's rated, who's done all the Twitch stuff that you're meant to do. And I will see you all on Saturday. Love you all. Bye.